Hello, welcome back to the Bronx Journal. I'm your host, Miguel Perez. In this segment, we will be talking to two self-published authors. They will tell us how we can get our own book in print. Joining us to discuss this process is writer Shindo Rodriguez and poet Lawrence Mays. Welcome both to the program. It's a pleasure having you here.
Pleasure to be here.
I have about 4 or 5 books in my head, and I've never seemed to be able to get one out. So I'm hoping you guys will give me some advice, as well as our audience. Let's start from the very beginning. Is it up to you, if you want to publish your own book, to make sure that it gets done in spite of what the publishers say? Is that what you guys are saying by publishing your book?
Definitely. As a self-published poet, I know that in self-publishing, it's totally on you. I mean, if you take a year, or if you take 2 years, if you take 2 weeks, I mean, it's all about how you put your own book out. I know self-publishing is a lot different from publishing with an actual publishing company. So there's a lot more aspects of self-publishing that's more on your part than,
So if you have a publisher, you basically write the book and basically leave it to them, and they have to market the thing, and they have to make sure it gets sold and distributed and all that. If you're self-published, you're everybody.
That's right.
You're the whole group, right?
Yes, sir.
Shindo, tell me about it.
It's absolutely true, because when I first published my first book, I went with this company called Ex Libris. And basically, I was paying a lot of money. I had to pay $300, $400 just to have my book sent to them. Then after that, it's like a waiting process. It's like maybe about 3, 4 months or so. Then you have to work with them, and then they want more money. And it's like by the time the book comes out, it's only on websites. It's not on the stores out, like in Barnes & Nobles or Borders. It's on their website.
For sale on a website.
Right.
Okay.
Now the disadvantage is, now let's say if I want my book sent to maybe 2,000, maybe 2 million, maybe all around the world, I have to pay them thousands of dollars just for them to do it. So what I decided to do was I did some research, and I decided to do my second book. I published it on my own. I copyrighted it, published it, and I'm actually now promoting my second book.
So the first one was published by a real publisher, and the second one is all your own.
Yes.
Tell me the difference.
Actually, the difference is when I did it, I get faster results. In a matter of 4 months, my first bookstore ever later, only one person bought my book. And that leaves me with, like, let's say, a royalty of $4, because they only bought the soft cover.
Okay.
When I sell foreplay, in a matter of 2 weeks, I got like about 10 to 13 people interested. And now, when I did the research, I noticed that the way how I did it was much more easier, because I went to MySpace, I went to internet, spoke to a lot of people, different people, writers, and they all had guided me. In fact, I even went to this one called ASO, which is Author Supporting Author, and they had guided me to self-network. Even though Ex Libris is supposed to be, showing my book out there, they're not. I have to actually go out there and tell people, hey, listen, take a look at my first book, it's in this website and so on. What I wanted to do was, and they didn't explain this to me properly too, I wanted to purchase like 200 of my books, so I can go out there and sell it on the street and tell people, hey, here's my book, I'm selling it for.
Well, that's what a lot of self-publishers do. I mean, they write the book, and then they give lectures outside the lecture hall. When people come out, they buy the book. Is that is that how you sell it?
Yeah, one way, definitely.
Now here's the disadvantage of it. The disadvantage is you have to pay like thousands of dollars just to get 200 copies of the book. The way how now with my second book, it's pretty easy. I went to Kinko's, and I told them, I want a certain amount of copies, and they gave me a certain amount of copies. I put it together on my own, and I set my own price. So let's say 4 plays like $12. I sell 3 copies of my books, I get the $12 profit. Whereas if I was to leave it to a publishing company, I just get a small royalty.
So, and a very small royalty, huh?
Yes.
It's usually like $1 per book or something if you're lucky.
Right.
Yes.
And the rest they keep.
Right.
Lawrence, tell me about that. I mean, is it harder for poets to get published by one of these publishers?
Most
Because they don't publish as many poetry books as they do, right? I
was actually told by published poets that that I should actually start start writing novels. And that's sort of like telling a basketball player to start playing football, you know?
Hockey.
So, right, hockey, I did the publishing thing through a different route, actually. I self-published first. So in 2005, I'm also a playwright. So 2005, I wanted to just put my plays in book form, and I found this great website called Lulu. It's lulu.com. And once you upload your, your document, they'll put it in book form and tell you how much it costs. It's usually about $5 or $6 a book. And I did that, and that was my first play that I have here.
Yeah, I want you guys to start showing me what you've published here.
So this is my play Prince Midas I actually wrote in 2005. And this was all me, I was very new at it. As you can see, it's a really big book, but it was only to put my plays in book form for my actors. Then I actually self-published my book, Struggle Through Hope. And this was last year that I did this.
Now this is poetry, all poetry.
It's all poetry,
okay.
Right? And as you can see,
I like that cover.
Right, thank you. The major, and I actually had to do my own cover and stuff. But the major difference is, opposed to books that I do have, which this one is my book that's in Barnes & Noble on the internet, not in the stores. Truth in a Nutshell. The main thing that you'll notice is that this one has a barcode at the bottom, and this one doesn't. Well, that barcode is actually like a $55 fee that you can pay, and and it's a whole lot of legality to that. But you can get it in the same websites. If you put the barcode on this book, this company, actually I paid absolutely nothing to get this book published by that company. But it's what some people call vanity publishing. And so I actually decided to vanity publish for the experience, not necessarily for the publishing credit. But I learned that although I spent nothing to put the book together, they're charging me tons of fees. Actually, this book is available, and it also has grammatical errors in it that their editing department decided not to edit because they wanted to give my poetry, poetic license to write and say whatever, which was their excuse to not edit my book, which is something I've done tons of times with my self-published stuff. So, I say that, for writers who are looking to get self-published, or looking to get published, should try self-publishing first. Understand what goes into the editing, understand what goes into the book cover, understand what goes into, what elements you want to put in the book before you go and trust these people, and these publishing companies to make the decisions for you,
Now, when you do talk to these people at a publishing company and you're just beginning to write your book, you haven't written the whole book. Sometimes you write a couple of chapters and some kind of introduction and you send that to the publisher. They say yes. Do they then want to influence what you do with the rest of the book? Are they trying to tell you, hey, you should go in this direction, this is how we can market the thing better? And do they try to influence your writing?
No, not at all.
They leave you alone to do whatever you want?
Basically, there's no guidance whatsoever. To them it's just like, well, just give me your book and, you just pay us this amount and we're just going to send it out there. Whether it's international or national, but that's it. They don't tell you anything about editing, and if you want them to edit, you got to pay extra.
No, I'm talking about the publishers, not the self-publishers, but the publishers. Do they want to have a say in the books that you've published and in the books that you're writing, and does that change what you're writing?
And I would say, well, that'll probably be a better question for you since you answered, but I know that in my experience also, they haven't, they usually stay out of it. They just want your words, and they'll market it whichever way you write it, But I'm pretty sure for some writers like that, I'm not sure of her name, but the writer that does Harry Potter. I'm pretty sure her publisher has a great influence in which ways she goes sometimes.
Yeah, and they have major meetings just to decide what the cover is going to look like.
Right, exactly.
A whole staff of people.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit more about your books. He already showed us his. What do you write? Do you write novels?